UPB, optionmillionaires.com. Thanks for tuning in. Going to do a little market recap for you today. July 9th, 2013. Hope everyone had a great trading session. If you were buying calls, you did pretty good today. If you were buying puts, I bought a couple puts yesterday, closed them out today. Not so good, but well, depending. If you had an inverse ETF, like the VXX, etc. If you bought puts on VXX, or if you sold calls, a lot of people were selling calls on VXX today. Interesting volume on the VXX. Selling the calls, buying the puts, meaning volatility is limited here. Anyway, look at this chart for the SPY. Let me pull off some of the studies here. And you can see this line in the sand. I've been bringing it up numerous occasions. If you go to stocktwits.com, this is the line from the November lows. This is Abenomics. I like to call it the Abenomics rally because that's when the Japanese decided to weaken the yen. The yen was at about 78 versus the dollar here, and then now it's over 100. Okay, the Nikkei was at 8,200, and now it's at 14,400. It's almost doubled. Pretty amazing move. Nonetheless, stocks globally have rallied, namely the United States. There's the S&P 500, the SPY ETF that tracks the S&P 500, and look at each time we've hit a low, we've had a nice V bottom. Okay, so we're not getting that V bottom that we were looking for that we've had since November. We're kind of having this elongated pattern where I'd love to just see the rally. It would just be like, oh, dummy, you just buy. When you see the V bottom, just buy. We're not getting that. We're kind of getting the, oh, well, maybe we'll build, So when I saw it yesterday, I looked at this line. I said, okay, well, you would think this line would act as significant resistance, and it did for a little bit intraday today. We dropped below it. We kind of resisted there for a little bit. Hour and a half. I was talking about stock twits. I posted it also in the chat room. I said it's a very important line, and then we rallied. The buy bots were in control today. It seemed like a lot of people were just buying stocks. Oh my goodness! They got the message finally from Ben Bernanke. So we're pretty close to new all-time highs. Pretty amazing. After that taper talk, and I brought it up in the chat room on audio as well today. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2011, the last time Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke came out and spoke, and the markets dropped dramatically over the next couple days, and even in that instance, a couple weeks, was the taper talk. Let me just go back to that on the chart, and I'll show you exactly what I was talking about. See this decline here? All taper. Well, this is the debt downgrade, and then we had the taper talk, and then we haven't looked back. So no matter what, every dip since 2009, the lows in March 6, 2009. Has been a great buying opportunity. So the difference is since November, when we pretty much had a straight up run, this time around, we're getting a little bit more, elongated. It's not just a complete spike higher. Although if you look from a weekly perspective, we are getting that. It looks beautifully like that V pattern I was talking about when we were in the 155 range. Anyway, let's just look at this chart and say, all right, well, this right now is formally resistance now because we're above it is support. So you kind of have to be on the bullish side now. You have to be. And you have to look at the chart from that kind of perspective and say, although we've had these candles, I've been talking about this in the chat room, it's almost like a jockey on a horse, pulling the horse back. Okay, spike, pull back, spike, pull back. And we're having the same thing here. At the highs of the day, we had a beautiful bullish hammer. And that kind of pulled back a little bit at the end of the session, so that the candle's still like the candles we've been seeing the last couple days since we've hit our lows. So it's been a beautiful rally. The question is that going to continue? Who knows? I'll let you know a little bit. Let's just go over some options. That's what we're here for, trading options. Let's go to Netflix. Netflix was on the Option Millionaires chat list. Thank you, Jimmy Bob. I was actually talking about Netflix yesterday in the chat room, talking about how it was bumping up against resistance. Stock was at $230. I bought a couple puts. Woo! Whoever sold those to me is a very happy camper right now. Jimmy Bob, after I got off audio, said, listen, Netflix going higher. He was in the calls, bought them, alerted him again this morning. The 255 calls that closed at $1.62, he alerted him with. They closed at 30 cents yesterday. They closed at $1.62 today. So an amazing move. Now, if you go back even further with Netflix, you can look at the 250s. I mean, look at that move. The 250s were at 12 cents a couple days ago. Even a couple days before that, 10 cents to $3.10 today. The 255s that were on the watch list today soaring, hitting 165.50. So just an amazing rally for those options, and kudos again. Jimmy Bob has done it again. I like to bring up the that Star Wars soundtrack. Dun 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 dun. Jimmy Bob Strikes Back. That's what Mikey likes to say. Speaking of Mikey, Mikey's in the chat room all the time. I was talking this morning about Solar City. Beautiful chart. Yeah, we're up 2.84%, but it didn't look that way early on. Solar City was beaten down this morning. You can see this decline and then almost a 10% rally off the lows. Mikey was all over that. Kudos to you, Mikey. We love Mikey, optionmillionaires.com. Not only does he provide great investment analysis and his takes on a lot of popular stocks out there. Every once in a while, we get the luxury of listening to him interview somebody at for instance, CBOE, etc. And it's always a very entertaining moment of the day. Look forward to it. We have TLT. Somebody brought up TLT in the chat room today. TLT is the 20-year bond fund. Look at it farting around today. I mean, within a 60, 70 cent range. That's not so bad considering the action over the last 20 days. The big gap down on Friday. So basically what TLT is telling you, when it's down in price, that interest rates are rising. That's what it's telling you. People are selling bonds, which you would think is a good thing for the market. People selling bonds. And look at the decline we've had since the start of May. 123, we broke through this pennant here to the downside. You would think it's a good thing. They talk about this big bond bubble that's bursting, and people are going to sell bonds and buy stocks. That's not necessarily the case, especially when you get the U.S. dollar, which has been increasing in value. But nonetheless, we don't care about any of that. What we care about is making money. So is TLT going to rise or fall? And I think no matter what's going to happen, it's going to make a big move, and that is what option traders like. So I was just pointing out this trade. I'm going to bring it up again at stocktwits.com. I love the TLT calls here. I love it. And in spite of weakness or strength for the stock market, because this morning I was pointing out stocktwits.com, everything was up. We had bonds, commodities, silver, gold, stocks. Everything was up. Everything was up. So bonds could be up, stocks could be up. Who knows? It's bizarro stock world when you have every central bank in the entire world manipulating their currencies, manipulating the stock markets, manipulating their bond markets. Everything could be up. So that's why I like the TLT calls. And again, taper talk. Somebody was talking about, I saw a news release come by. Some analysts talking about the taper is going to come in September. Who cares? Federal Reserve is going to print forever. Taper, taper, taper. My rear end. Taper my beer bottle. Taper. Taper's the big word. I saw it. There was some news release that came out describing some sort of financial event, and they had the taper word in there. I've never seen taper before used so much. Now they're tapering everything. Honey, could you taper my hair, please? It's just nonstop. My wife just always nagging me. So anyway, I like the 108 calls here. We close at 107.40 for TLT. I love the 108 calls, 37 cents. But I'll let you know if I get into them in the chat room tomorrow. Let's just move on. I don't want to make this too long. I'm running out of time. So we had TLT. Lastly, somebody asked me about IBM. IBM was downgraded by Goldman Spectacular today. The stock has been really, really struggling after hitting new all-time highs. And you can look, beautiful channel here. I mean, that's beautiful, isn't it? We have the great run-up from 2008. This has been November, probably just before Thanksgiving. We spike lower to about 60, 65 bucks, and it's been on a tear ever since. It offers a dividend, so people like dividends, except when interest rates are rising, which would mean TLT is going to drop. I just said TLT is going to bounce. So if that's the case, then we might see the bottom here, and I think at about 187.50 is going to be the low. We have earnings coming up, I believe, next week. IBM's usually on, a Monday or a Tuesday? Should be the start of next week. I haven't looked. Needless to say, if you're looking to get in the IBM calls, let's look for 187.50 as support. If not, again, and then look at this pattern. Beautiful. I love this. I like to call this the Zerg pattern. Okay, it's almost like a head and shoulders. But if you know Zerg from was that Buzz Lightyear? He's kind of all scrunched up, so it's really kind of a V-type pattern. That's the Zerg figure, and we might bottom here. We had it from Morgan Stanley. It was bottom at about 14 bucks a little while ago. Anyway, Morgan Stanley was soaring today. It's over 25 bucks, something like that. But the point I was trying to make is if we do break below that 187.50 level, oh my goodness, there's a lot of downside here. We could be looking at the 160s, even the 150s, and this is not to say it's going to happen post earnings, but if we do break, there's really no one there to catch IBM when it falls. So just something to keep in mind. However, a bounce up and then a breakthrough, and we've seen these consolidation patterns a little more slanted, for instance, for Google, which was upgraded today. City came out. But anyway, these consolidation patterns. This channel's slanted to the upside. Let's see what else. We had there's a couple other, I can't think of them off the top of my head. But the point I was trying to make is each time, especially in this bull market, the trend is up. They've resolved to the upside. So you might want to go against Goldman Spectacular on this trade, but we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. All right, UPB here from OptionMillionaires.com. Great calls in the chat room. Jimmy Bob on Netflix. Kudos, buddy. And that's it. I'll see you guys in the chat room tomorrow. Everyone have a great evening and a very profitable trading week. Goodbye.